Hi, I'm Anthony for Sydney Backyard Veggies. Just over here at my patch this afternoon I'm going to be planting out my first round of corn seedlings. I've just come over to the southern side of my yard here and I've chosen this spot because it gets full sun pretty much all day. So what I have done is I've gone through and just turned over the soil in this space just to clear all the weeds. And I've gone and added 2 barrel loads full of the horse manure compost that I've been curing for the last 6 months. So now I've spread it out and added it to the bed. I'm going to go and add some amendments and then go about planting my seedlings. So first things first, just wanted to go through and show you what seedlings I'm planting and the variety. So before I start planting out, I just want to show you my seedlings. These are my corn seedlings. This variety is called Max and it's a commercial variety that have been grown over the past few years, and they actually do quite well in my garden, in my context here in Sydney. They produce 1 to 2 good sized ears, really disease resistant, and I find that they do well. As long as you give them enough space and enough fertilizer, they will produce on average 1 to 2 good sized ears. These were planted out in this tray about 4 weeks ago, so now that they're ready to go out into the ground, I've got in the order of about 40 seedlings here. What I'm going to do is actually try to plant as much as I can across that southern bed. So I'm going to go through now and just add my amendments to the soil. So before I plant out my corn seedlings, I need to amend the bed, add additional fertilizer to it. At the moment I've put down 2 barrel loads of horse manure compost, but I really need to increase the nitrogen levels in that amendment. Corn really does well with a lot of nitrogen. I find the more nitrogen you give it, the better, and it will produce bigger ears, fuller ears of corn. At this stage I would normally add a lot of blood and bone to the bed. Unfortunately don't have any at the moment, so what I'm going to do is add the blood and bone at a later date as a side dressing. But at this stage at the moment I'm going to be adding a lot of chicken manure pellets. I'll be looking at adding 6 containers worth of chicken manure pellets across my bed, which is in the order of 5 meters long by 2 meters, so 10 square meters. I'll be adding at least 5 containers full of chicken manure pellets at this stage. What else I'll be also adding is just a little bit of dolomite lime. I like to add a little bit of calcium as part of my amendments. I find this does really well. Not too much. I'm happy just to add just a little bit, just to add that extra calcium to the soil. And also I'm going to add a handful across the bed of sulfate of potash. Again, I find corn does really well with more potassium in the soil. So I'll be sprinkling that across the bed. And so what I'm going to do now is just going to go through and add the amendments to the bed. Then with my hoe I'll just mix it into that top layer of the soil, and then I'll be ready to start forming up my rows. So in setting out my rows, I'm putting 70 centimeters between each of the rows, and using the back of my rake I am forming up that trench essentially, which I'll be planting my seedlings in. And I do it this way for 2 reasons. One, to help with the watering and the planting when they're still young, but again I'm a big fan of hilling my crops, and I will be hilling these corn plants at about 6 to 8 weeks age, to give them that extra support, because especially when it gets really windy here in Sydney, the corn tends to get knocked over, and I find that really impacts on their productivity. So what I'm going to do is just come through. Now I've done that second row, come through again using the back of my rake, which is about a 40 centimeter rake. 1, 2, centered about here, and I'm just going to come through and continue forming up these rows. So I'm going to continue on and probably get at least another 2 to 3 rows in this bed, and I'll do that now. In planting out my seedlings, I'm looking at spacing them 30 centimeters apart in the rows, and what I'm going to do is just using the hand trowel, just make a small depression in the trench. And with my seedling, which you can see right there, it's actually beautiful. Look at that root ball, it's perfect. I'm going to plant it, but what I'm trying to do is just bring it up to the base of that now, and make sure it's well firm. Now, corn doesn't mind having a soil firmed around its base. So if anything, it needs it. It's just to keep it supported, and that's plenty at the moment. But what I'm going to do later, as it grows, I will move the soil adjacent to the base of the plant and actually hill the soil around the plant to give it actually additional support, especially when the winds pick up. But what I'm doing now is just going to space it at 30 centimeter spacing. So with my trowel, just the next one is going to go this spot. With getting my other seedling just here, dig a hole again, bringing the soil back onto the plant, making sure that it's well compressed around the base. Spread that dirt around. There you have it. So I just finished off planting that bed, and I've got 5 rows of 4 plants, so 20 in total, and they're looking quite good. I've given them a really deep watering now, and over the next few days I'm actually going to be installing my irrigation system onto these plants. Corn loves water as much as it loves nitrogen fertilizer, so making sure they get watered daily, especially when they're starting to form their tassels, is really important to get a good crop. I will need to start my fertilizing of these plants over the next few weeks, but coming up to the weekend, a couple of days time, I'll be looking at first just giving them a first round of liquid fertilizer, and then over the next few weeks I'll probably start using blood and bone as a side dressing. Try to apply that every 2 to 3 weeks. I've got another 3 beds here down this side of the garden, which I will plant out with corn, so I'm going to go and continue turning over some of those beds, getting them ready. Still got plenty of seedlings left to plant out, so I'm going to do that over the next day or so. So this afternoon I'm over at my broccoli patch. This is my last broccoli planting for the season. I planted this out in late September, and now it's been about close to 40-45 days since they've been planted, and they're ready to harvest. I've been progressively harvesting a few heads over the last week, but at this stage pretty much half the crop is ready to be harvested, and I don't like to let my heads get too big. I find that their quality drops off as they get larger. So I'm going to come through here now and just actually harvest what I can out of this patch, and then see what I end up with. Let's come through. I'm going to grab this one's good size of my palm. I'm going to come through. This is one of the first ones I harvest. There you go. Looks really, really nice actually. It's a really good one. I do, for some reason, had a second one planted against it. I might leave this one to grow out, but I feel that when you plant them too close, they tend to not to put too much size. So I'll see how this one goes. It might get a little crop out of it, and it's probably 7 days to be harvested before it gets ready to harvest, but I'll harvest that a bit later. I've just harvested my crop. I'm just going to come through now and clean off a lot of these outer leaves. I tend to like to keep as much of the stalk as I can, but with the outer leaves, they will go to the chooks and they'll become part of their green feed, but also part of my compost. I don't keep my broccoli for side shoots, but you can. I prefer not to. I prefer to clear up the space, but that's the kind of broccoli that I am picking at the moment. It's really beautiful, actually really, really good quality. Happy with it. The variety is called Aurora. It's the same variety I grow throughout the season, and I find it does really, really well in Sydney and really, really well with the warmer weather. You know, we are in the end of almost the end of October, still harvesting broccoli. So it really shows you picking the right variety for your climate is very important. Also the season, picking the right variety for the season. So I'm going to continue on clearing out the rest of these, and I'll show you what I end up with. So I just finished harvesting my broccoli, and I've ended up with, there you go, 9 heads. Just trying to show everyone. So yeah, really happy with that. Really happy to get broccoli this late in the season. They were harvested just at the right time. They are starting to separate, which ideally I don't want that to happen. You do sacrifice a bit of size for quality. I prefer my broccoli to be a lot tighter, but look, these are fine. Still probably got half a bed to go, and I really need to get through these in this week. Expecting them to be all cleared out over the next 5 or 6 days, and once that's done, I'll be looking at planting cucumbers next to the tomatoes and more beans in this spot next to the lemons. Now, I won't plant any more broccoli from now till late January. I will start planting out my next season's broccolis then. I find during the summer months it's just too hot. But it has been a very good broccoli season this year for me. I do make the effort to try to grow broccoli as much as I can. It's a staple in my kitchen, and the kids eat it every night, so I'm really happy to get as much broccoli as I can from my patch. Look, thank you very much everyone for joining me in my video today. I really appreciate the support, and I hope you have just as much success in your patch as I do in mine, and I hope to see you in the next one.